In this session, we're going to cover the model and security functionality of Pyramid 2018. We are going to cover model definitions, materialized content, and the different security capabilities of the product at different levels of your data stack. Often, when users see this particular screen, they think they're editing the data model, but in fact, they're editing the model definition. The model definition is a set of instructions on how to import your data, fix your data, prepare your data, even run machine learning scripts on your data without actually being the data itself. It also includes the schema definition, which is the instructions needed for how to query the database from the discovery, presentation, and publication tools inside Pyramid 2018. Once the user hits the process button, they take the definitions and execute them, which means running the importing of data, preparation, and even the machine learning logic, and producing a live database with its data model. This is known as materialization, where we go from instructions to a final materialized database that can be used for analytics. Shown differently, think of it like this. We take the instructions, publish them to a server, and in so doing build out the database. And then when we're ready to query that database, we come in from the discovery, presentation, or publication tools and query the existing materialized database using the different security options that have been afforded to us. The next thing to digest is security. The first thing to understand is that the definition file is stored and secured in the Content Manager system of Pyramid 2018. That means the instructions for how to run the different data models can be secured and shared through the content management system like any other file inside the product. From here, users can open them, view them, and even execute them if they have the rights. This, however, is separate from the security management system for the materialized models and databases. That is managed by the Materialized Manager. This controls access to the live servers, databases, and models independently of the Content Manager. Why? Well, it's very possible that while a user can query a database and a data model for analytics, they may not have access to the model definitions that are used to create them in the first place. Hence the split between the definition file and the materialized content. The next thing to understand is how the different security definitions for the data model are set. First of all, within the model definition file, security can be set by role for the database and the data model that will be produced when the definition file is executed. These are pro forma and will be applied to the resulting database when it is created during the execution process. Once the definition file is executed and the materialized model is built, there are many more options for securing the database. This includes setting role-level access to the database server itself, the database, the data model, hierarchies, measures, and even hierarchy members to give you grain-level security. This can also be done for users in most cases. Next, we're going to show you how all of this can be done inside the product itself. We're going to start by creating a data model using the Advanced Data Model toolset. To begin, let's use the Postgres database that is provided with the product. We're simply going to read out the data and then send it into an in-memory database model. These are our simple instructions for how to create the database. Next, we're going to go ahead and design and create the schema. The schema is generally created for us automatically using heuristics. But to add a little bit of spice to the discussion, we'll change the margin to an average measure and change its format to percentage. We'll also go ahead and turn on a new column. Last, we'll go ahead and create a product hierarchy. Now we're going to create the pro forma security. In this particular model, we're going to give different users in different roles access to the database. Admin will have full access to both the database and the data model. The user A roles will only have read access to both model and database, and user B's only read access to the model. Let's save our definition file. And now we're ready to execute it. This is the materialization process where we execute the instructions and create the actual database. And that's it. Now that we have a database, we can begin querying it. And again, we are querying the materialized database, not the definition file. As part of this demonstration, we're going to use gender as a way to secure our database with member level security. In this case, we've got both male and female in our report, which we will use later. Now, let's go to the Materialized Content Manager and set different levels of security for the different roles in the system. We go to the Admin tool, choose Data Security and Metadata, and pick our particular model. First, we look at the database, and you'll see that the proforma settings that were designed in the definition file have been applied to the live database, so too for the data model. Next, we're going to go ahead and set the hierarchy security for the different roles in the system on the materialized live data model. First, hierarchy security. First of all, let's pick commute distance, and we will disable this particular dimension for the user A roles. Next, we will go ahead and set measure security. In this case, the measure B role group will not be able to see overhead, and they will also not be able to see net profit. A good way to hide different parts of the model from different users. Next, we will use the measure overlay. The measure overlay allows us to adjust the model for each kind of role in the system. In this case, the user's A role will see revenue instead of income when they use the data model. And in the last example, we will set member level security, so that users B, when they come in and look at the gender dimension, they will only see females, while the users A group, when they look at the gender dimension, will only see males. This is how the different levels of security and overlay can be set for different users using the meta overlay. Now let's log in as one of our users. This will be user number 1, part of the user A role group. When this user opens up that report, they're only shown male data because female data has been eliminated. Also, the commuter distance hierarchy has been removed from the data model, so they cannot use it in the analysis. Last but not least, if they went to the measures, they would not see income, and instead they would see the revenue measure, which is how they're going to use this for analysis. In the last segment, let's bring all of this together into a nice clean dashboard. We're going to begin with our male and female bubble chart report, followed by a second report that has been built, showing occupation versus purchase bike across 2 measures, margin and income. Income is the one that was renamed to revenue for different kinds of users. And in the third report, we're simply going to show sales and margin data broken out by month, split by gender, male and female, with a slice. Let's begin by creating a new presentation and adding the grid. And then adding our charts. To make the analysis more interesting, we can add slices. In this case, we will use our education slice that we attached to report number 3, as well as add a custom slice for this dashboard directly off the data model. In this case, we will use marital status. Using the Auto Interact button, we can simply wire up everything so that everything interacts with each other. Let's add a second slide. And on this slide, we will add our initial report of bubble charts, which shows data split out between male and female. Last but not least, let's re-add our slices to this slide so the data can be sliced and diced by the same slices from the first slide. First, we're going to save our dashboard into a public folder so other users can view it. Now, let's preview our dashboard. You'll see the dashboard comfortably shows male and female data, as well as the information we put into our original grid, margin versus income. On the second slide, we can see the 2 bubble charts, again for male and female, and everything is completely sliceable and diceable as expected. Now let's log into the other user account. This is our user that has got only access to the male information. When he opens up the dashboard, the first thing you'll notice is that the chart on the right only shows male information. And if you look carefully at the grid has been filtered to male data only. More importantly, the income measure has now been renamed to revenue as expected. And of course, everything continues to remain fully sliceable and diceable, as if the user had created the report themselves without any security features applied. Moving to the second slide, they again can see the bubble chart, and again it only shows mail-related data. This has been a terrific example of how pyramid, data modeling, and data security can be used to great effect to create a highly scalable analytics solution.